We're at the point now where I want to go ahead and give you guys my thoughts on Luto. This was a game I had my eye on a while back. I remember favoriting it or adding it to my wish list back when it was like, first thrown up there. And it did kind of sneak up on us this week for release, but it worked out because it was a game I'm looking forward to. And obviously it piqued my interest, the whole concept that we didn't know much about it going in, obviously, but we knew it was a psychological horror, and we knew that it was about trying to escape and not being able to, no matter how hard you try, you keep going back to the beginning. It obviously borrowed some elements from games like PT and Layers of Fear even, and there was a couple other games in there as well that I'd mentioned throughout my run that it kind of reminded me of. So it's a bit of a blend of all three. Now, I'm going to kick things off with some of the things that I did not like about the game. There's not, to be honest, like there's not, it pretty much be nitpicking at this point. If I had to complain about the game right now, I would say that yes, it is a bit Unreal marketplacey. There are some elements about it that you can see there's a lot of assets from the Unreal marketplace, so it's not like you're gonna find brand new imagery necessarily, or you might, like I said, see some of the stuff that they do have in that marketplace for ease of access for these indie devs to utilize. I understand they're there for a purpose. It's so you can actually create games without having to design a bunch of models, so I understand the point of that, but like I said, it does kind of take away from that a little bit. In terms of like, I'm just trying to think, because people were complaining. It's funny, because what people are really complaining about, from what we've seen, are things like the black bars up and down. Even though this is a very letterbox cinematic experience, it's very dependent on, I mean, movies are like this, so I don't really understand that much. It does at first seem a little aggressive, but it's not that bad. And maybe, I would say, maybe the narrator's voice is a little bit cartoony given the mood of the game. So I guess first impressions might throw you off. I think the game's first impressions might make you feel a little bit unsure about it. It's like, oh, it's killing the mood. But honestly, I think everything is done for a purpose. And it's one of those games that, despite these, like, the Unreal assets and, like, just kind of, they're pretty generic Unreal assets, and not all of them, just there's some Unreal assets there, alongside maybe the goofy, goofy narration at the start. It's almost like it'd be better if there was no narration. But now I'm going to go into what I liked about the game, because honestly, that is pretty much what I didn't like about the game. That's about it. And if it's super minor, I didn't really think it really is that big of a deal. What I did like about the game. So everything you see in game, everything that you experience while you play this game has a direct purpose. It's all intentional, which is insane. So if you see something as it's meant to be seen, you're actually questioning it. And the more you play the game, for example, the narrator has a huge purpose. It makes a ton of sense based on the story. Obviously, it's up for interpretation, but obviously, I think the biggest thing about this game, besides, before we get into the big stuff, I'd say atmosphere was so important with this one, because it throws this little, this kind of weirdness at the beginning. The importance of atmosphere and like how good everything looks, how dark and moody and how glitchy things are, and like why is that happening? What's going on there? It makes no sense. But like I said, there's so many like moments where you'll turn down a hallway and you'll just see a hallway that's different from the one you just came from, except in a new way. So for example, like I said, there was that one scene where we were in the hallway and the exit light was slowly flickering, just very, very like lightly flickering. Then you turn another corner and then there's all these screens illuminating the room in red with different symbols on it. And then you have like you've got a place, like you got a mausoleum, and it's like a beautiful like design above the mausoleum, and you're going from location to location questioning where the hell you are and what's going on, and you're just like looking at this imagery. I'm like, this is crazy. It's familiar imagery, but it makes no sense in this context. You know what I mean? So the more you're playing the game, you're looking around and seeing what's new about it. I'm like, oh, how does that relate to the game? It's probably involved in some sort of puzzle, which most cases it is. Mind you, some of the puzzles seem a little cryptic at first, and you might get stuck on a couple of them. I'd say the one that I almost missed was the one where I had to listen and find the monkey in that one room with all the writing on the wall and the basketball and everything. I went back there and accidentally found the deflated ball, because I'm like, this seems different than the other rooms, but that's the whole point of it. So obviously you really got to pay attention, and throughout the game they give you that sensory mention. They're like, how do you know what's real, what isn't? And they're like, do you hear things, do you see things? And it's basically hinting at different ways for you to get through the game. and you know, things you have to pay attention to as you progress to make the game actually will get through the game and actually solve the puzzles. So the more you lean on that, and you lean on not just your eyesight but also on your hearing as well, what like things you're hearing that sound like, wait a minute, why did I hear that? I'm gonna go investigate. And you have to use that to kind of get to a closer, like a lot of times they would use audio cues to like guide you in the right direction, you know? So it wasn't just what you saw, a lot of it was what you heard as well. So obviously based on the atmosphere and that whole vibe of trying to figure things out, absolutely brilliant. I loved the vibe alone. Yes, it is a walking sim, but honestly, in a psychological horror game, have you ever played a psychological horror game that wasn't really a walking sim? There might be some enemies that you might have to hide from, but that is literally psychological horror. They're always walking sims, like, well, maybe not always, but 9 times out of 10, it is more about a storyline and imagery and how you perceive what you're seeing. You know what I mean? And if it has a hidden meaning, which they always do, there's always a metaphor, and there's a lot of deep-rooted emotion in these types of games, which I personally adore. I've always been a fan of psych horror. I think it's fantastic because what it does, it makes you question your reality, and not only what your reality might be, it's like, what is this person actually going through? Am I actually seeing what I'm seeing, or are they in their own head? And based on what we've interpreted from this, or what I've interpreted, I think our character was stuck in his own mind to the point where we're unable to break out of this cycle of depression and guilt and loss, feeling that his entire family leaving, dying, whatever you want to say, was something to do with him and his fault, and he's not able to escape it, to the point where he's literally forcing it out into a metaphor that he understands, aka a video game. So this metaphor, his own mind was a video game, and he was stuck in the constraints of the video game rules and the programming until he broke them. He broke out of his stereotypical way of thinking to get out of that guilt and be able to move on with his life. That's my take on that metaphor. And the fact that we broke the game, and literally the game is intended for you to break it to continue, and it breaks the fourth wall like that, absolutely brilliant. There were so many moments where I'm like, that is smart. It's not the first time we've seen fourth wall breaking in video games before, but I'd say this one was supernatural, and it actually made me, at one point, like, the game did crash, and I was like, was that a part of the game? Was that an intended crash? Like, it might have been. I don't actually know if they actually forced a crash there, considering they literally threw in every other idea possible. I think that's really plausible that was an intended crash. So I think that the fact that his story is bleeding into my reality, my actual reality, makes me be like, whoa, how real is this game? Is this game almost AI-like, and it's almost taking over my world, which is honestly adds onto that psychological horror for me. It's like, how much of this game is going to invade my world and my thoughts, you know what I mean? And that's why I think it's absolutely brilliant. Obviously, having a ton of Easter eggs all over the place, you know, whatever they might be, and the puzzles themselves, like I said, a couple might have been cryptic, but I think they're all very well thought out, but also simple, so you're not spending too much time on them. They make sense. The pacing is good. You're not spending too much time on something, but I feel like this is one of those ones where you do want to spend as much time as possible, so you can like stop and smell the roses and gather as much as you can from this game, because it truly is a treat. I think this is one of those games that you gotta play it. Not only that, it is a super affordable game at launch. It took me over 5 hours to play. I tried to do as much as possible. Obviously, I didn't get all the collectibles, unfortunately, and there's a couple of trophies I might have missed, like action-based trophies that I don't know how to get. If I had more information on how to get them, I'm sure I would have been able to do it, but obviously it would warrant another run of the game. You run through the game again and get the remaining trophies. Obviously, you have the mini-game on top of it. The mini-game is kind of meh. It's nothing crazy, but it's extracurricular activity, so it's like, I'm going to hand in my assignment, but I'm also going to do this little one. Not going to like make it crazy, but I'm still going to show that I have all this extra stuff that I want to include in my game or in my project. So the fact that they added that on and then implemented that as well into the game itself and the storyline, and it made sense in a way, fucking awesome. Like, come on, man. That's super, super cool. So honestly, to summarize, despite the game having some, you know, Unreal assets that are shared along a lot of indie games that I've seen over the past couple of years, and obviously having that kind of weird initial introduction with the narrator and it seeming pretty contrasting and not really suiting the mood, the more you play it, the more it makes sense. You got beautiful atmosphere, the feeling of it, the visual imagery is fantastic, the thought process behind the game, the creativity behind the game. I haven't seen a game where it's that creative in this. I've never seen a game like this. Yes, like I said, I've seen fourth wall breaking before, but not to this degree and not to this level of cleverness, that it actually like I don't know. This has been such a treat, and I'm really upset to think that these people are actually giving it bad reviews because it's got letterbox format, or it's got that, you know, it's got that narration. Like, the narrator makes sense because it's a voice that our own character has in his head to represent different demons or different things about him, the good, the bad, the ugly. It's all, you know, a part of it. So it makes so much sense, and therefore it kind of doesn't really become a negative. But obviously, setting that first impression, it's one of those things where you got to keep trucking and keep playing, and then once you understand what the game is trying to do, it is truly a treat. On top of the fact that the game is one of the cheapest games I've seen for the amount of, like, for a walking sim, psych horror, where there is technically replay value here, where you can go back and get the remaining trophies with a mini game on the side. The fact that it's 15 US, 20 Canadian, like, dude, that is cheap as sin. I cannot stress this enough. This game is worth it at launch. Give this dev as much money as possible, because this is a dev that is not expecting a lot of money for their project, gives a shit about the lore of their game, and actually has a creative writing process instead of seeing the same generic stuff. It is creative, it's unique, it's a game we need to support. So I actually am going to applaud the devs here on this one. Fantastic game. I will say this is definitely one of my favorites of the year. Short but sweet. I would definitely recommend it. I'm going to give this game a rating now, and I think it deserves a 9 out of 10 easily. Yes, there's a couple of things that might not make it a 10, and I've factored that in there, or a 9.5 even. I also want to throw out, it is a very simplistic game, so I don't want to give it too high a score because it is on the simple side, but because of the cleverness of it, and obviously just the visual imagery. It's not going to be a very long experience necessarily, but for the price tag, bro, I mean, think about it. You go to a movie and you spend way more than that on watching a movie that takes you, that like might be an hour and a half to 2 hours now. A game that takes you 3 to 5 hours or 6 hours to complete and do everything. God damn, what a bargain. Absolutely fantastic. And I did not expect this game would do this. I thought, like, based on everyone's initial impressions, I thought they were going to hate it, but I'm really surprised it's getting as many mixed reviews as it is, because this is fantastic. So maybe it's just because I like this genre, but that's just like saying, oh, I'm gonna go watch I'm gonna go watch a horror movie, but I hate horror movies, and I'm gonna hate the movie because and being one of the biggest reasons being like, oh, I hate horror movies, and I'm like, I didn't like that it was a horror movie, so you go watch and review a horror movie. That makes no sense. It's a psych horror movie, psych horror game. It's not meant to be played like Call of Duty. Not every game like has to be Call of Duty and GTA to be good. You have to look at things from a different angle. Okay, so that's my thought. 9 out of 10. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. Highly recommend it. Like I said, support the dev at this price point. It's honestly, even if it does get cheaper, it's worth it now. Honestly, they could have charged 30 or more, and I still think it would be worth it. I think 30 US would still be a fair price for this, and I would still recommend it at that price tag. But the fact that they're not being greedy and they're selling it for half that, absolutely insane. I love it. So kudos to the devs. I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you leave a like, comment your thoughts below, subscribe if you're new, and turn on those post notifications with the bell icon so you don't miss anything I put out here on the channel. Be sure to like, follow my social pages, Facebook, X, Instagram, Snapchat, Discord. Those are linked in the description. If you guys want to get yourself a shirt or hoodie of mine, there's a link in the description for that. Also an embedded feature right below the stream. Shows a preview of some items you can get. Ultimately, use the website for the full range of products and customization options there. Big shout out to the sponsors, DX Racer, Bones Coffee, The Ridge Wallet, Mad Rabbit Tattoo. I use the products every single day. Check them out for yourselves with the links in the description. Be sure to use my promo code DANQ8000 to save at checkout with them. If you guys want to send something to my P.O. Box, there's an address for that right in the description as well. Finally, guys, if you do want to help and support the channel even more, you can check out the Team 8000 membership program. Like I said, it supports the channel immensely. There's 4 different tier levels at 4 price points. The first tier entry is only 99 cents, so it's a cheap and easy way to get into the program. For signing up, you get things like custom badges by your name, custom emojis used in chat, exclusive video and stream access, priority in open lobbies, giveaways, discounts, and plenty more. We're working our way back up towards the 300 mark, sitting in the 240 still. I'd love to get higher. If you guys want to help us get 300, you can join that with the link in the description. There's a join button below the stream. Also a section on my main channel page as well. If you guys want to gift members or send super chats, you can do both of those with the $ icon that's next to chat. Click it, you'll see a drop down. If you're gifting, just remember you can gift 1 to 50 in a single transaction, but ultimately you can gift as many as you want through multiple transactions. Okay, thank you guys again. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and hopefully we see you in the next one. Thanks guys, see you then. Peace.
Who's the man with the plan? If you feel trouble wildin' wild on these violent and hit you 8,000. Wait a minute, hold that style is dialed in. Goddamn Billy Jack, we still riding tires flat. I hear them sirens, see shots flying, so we driving fire back. If they ain't vibing, lie with that. Got me dressed up in all black. What up? Hood up but I see them haters try to run with us, they gon' need inhalers. Gotta breathe them hard just like Darth Vader. Players, grab your respirators. Night invaders get lightsabered. Mask on for the shooters, move like trash to bed intruder. Got that Glock and got them woofers. Just press play, I'll keep it moving. Who is not still, you damn fools? Keep it fresh like canned food. There ain't nothing we can't do, so tune into that damn cue. Yeah, it was never, ever a game.